Good day to you, Lochlainn. Malin, how are you?
I'm good now. How's things?
What have you got today?
Quick question. Is AI overhyped, especially when it comes to banking and financial services? Why am I asking you this? Because I was on TED Talk on YouTube the other day, and I was listening to a podcast or an interview from Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, and the title of the YouTube, if you haven't watched it, I'll put the link in the description box for anyone who wants to view it, is called "The AI Revolution is Underhyped." And I thought this was pretty interesting, and I thought that's what we should focus on today, specifically in banking terms. But before I do ask you, I want to share a direct quote from this so we're all up to date on what Eric's thoughts are when it comes to AI in particular. He said, "So when I look at this future, I want to be clear that the arrival of this intelligence, both at the AI level, the AGI, which is general intelligence, and then superintelligence, is the most important thing that's going to happen in about 500 years, maybe even 1,000 years in human society. And it's happening in our lifetime. So don't screw it up." I thought that was pretty interesting. And I do want to get your thoughts. What do you think? Is AI overhyped? Is generative AI overhyped?
Sorry, Lochlainn. Sorry, I had to cut across there. Everybody's talking about AGI and the arrival of AGI as if the AI that we have today has been maxed out and that there's nothing left to do until this arrives. I mean, the pace at which this stuff is moving at is just mind-boggling. I mean, I've been involved in digital transformation projects for over 25 years. And I've never seen anything as transformative and moving as fast as this one. Is it overhyped? I think that's not necessarily lacking in hype. You know, if you go to the fintech conferences, if we go to any kind of leadership publication that's talking about banking, it's all over the place. But I think it's misunderstood. I think many banking leaders are seeing the generative AI in particular as being something, a tech project that would take place, and it's not. I think it's not a tech project, and the reason I'm saying it's not a tech project is any of the consulting jobs that we're doing, we have yet to even come up against the technologists for implementation. It's defining how you would like to reposition your bank and looking at all of the jobs that can be automated or semi-automated using this stuff. The problem is when you, as a leader, when you allocate someone to go and do this, you're asking them to disrupt their own role. And no one wants to do that. So they end up getting a rollout of one of the large language models with no description as to what it is they're supposed to do with it. They end up making better emails, better documents, doing legislation abbreviations so that they can better digest it and understand it. But no one's making, or few are making, full workflow automation for operations inside their bank. And principally in the EU in particular, there's strong legislation that prevents us from making customer-fronted, serious applications using generative AI and AI in general. So I don't think it's overhyped. Well, it is. It's hyped. But I think it's misunderstood as a tech project when in fact it's a leadership project around proper transformation of an organisation. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting, and I definitely am along the same lines of thinking on that one. I think, when we think about digital transformation, AI adoption, what people tend to realise that are in that industry, it is so much a political process. It's all about people trying to get the right buy-in, and that's where transformation should start. So I think what you're saying is true, definitely, in terms of the misunderstanding or misalignment when it comes between AI and transformation and what value it can offer. And just on that as well, I came across a recent report which noted that 52% of UK banks were using AI primarily to improve customer experience, whereas 59% of US banks were focused on AI to cut costs, often by automating jobs. Do you think that's the right direction of travel?
How much of that, I wonder, is hype? How much of it is because of EU legislation, UK legislation around job protections, which don't exist in the US. But the reality is that in particular in unregulated roles like HR and IT and marketing and anything, customer services, anything of that nature, AI and generative AI is capable of replacing 90% of the roles today. Now, when you take a look at what most people are saying is this augments the job. It doesn't. It's a job dissolver. It is a position resolver. It is a workflow automation dissolver, and it's capable of doing it today. So anybody who says we're just working on some little tasks, and maybe we should, just to understand its capabilities, but they're missing the point. This is going to fundamentally change every function and every role inside anything in financial services, whether it's regulated or not. And the problem I keep coming back to and seeing it time and time again is that when you start to allocate this from a leadership perspective into the organization, these people aren't dummies. They see it coming. And what's missing is, what's the future state? What's in it for me in the future? Why should I automate away the entire function of what my department does, my people do, my career is, my role is? It's political. It comes down to politics again. And that is a leadership function. If that's not resolved first, no amount of tech solves it. No amount of wishing it into existence and making better products or we're going to be the best bank. That's all hyperbole. This is a job dissolver. Get over it. Where do you put people? That's a different story. I know you're working on a HR project embedded in a bank at the minute, aren't you?
Yeah. Working with an banking organisation based in East Africa, and I think the word, I suppose, dissolvement is one maybe we can't throw about so easily. I think there's actually a quote here from one of the spokesperson from Kearney Consulting who commented that in Europe, this isn't about job cuts, it's about adopting smarter solutions to improve service quality, benefiting both customers and employees. And I think I'm kind of in between the both.
I'm calling bullshit on that one, Lochlainn. You either don't see what this is doing and its capabilities, where you can make AI completely replace. So instead of having 50 people in marketing, it's down to 5. Instead of having 10 data analysts, it's down to 2. And 10. So what happens to all of those other people if it's not? And doesn't mean that data analysts aren't needed elsewhere in the business. Their roles and functions can change. I'll give you that. But it's not that this is just helping them to somehow augment and improve their job.
And I agree with that one, definitely. And I think that's the perspective, the way I think business leaders need to take is that there is opportunity in career migration. As you said, I've been working with a large financial institution in East Africa, and they are putting so much resource, time and effort into building the right capabilities, into initiating and implementing a career pathways program that looks at people who are currently in roles that probably will likely be automated by AI, and looking at how they can reposition or migrate into new job roles that's in line with the strategic direction of the bank. And for me, I think that's the right direction of travel for these large organizations.
Yeah. When people, one of the hardest things is to get people to understand your institution, to understand its culture, to understand how you work and how you roll. But the quote that would always spring to mind in this one is from John Briggs, who we work with. He said, people are not afraid of change, they're afraid of the unknown. People are not afraid of change, they're afraid of the unknown. Getting people to migrate, to automate what they're doing at scale and to migrate into new roles means that unknown needs to be removed. Psychological safety needs to be created. All of these are non-technical functions, as you can see. But when you read the press, it's all about fintechs, it's all about platforms, it's all about tools and what model to be using, and they're important questions right down the line. If you can, you can get a full business process now, from start to finish, a full workflow to be automated and tested and experimented without anybody in tech being involved. Now, scaling it into the organization, different story entirely. So they are involved, but the actual idea of taking a new way of working and building a new way of working and experimenting with it and testing it can now happen in days. It used to take weeks and months of planning. It can happen in days, but that requires the right banking leadership oversight.
Agreed. So for the listeners, is there anything you would recommend doing when it comes to those maybe who are sitting in that category of feeling that AI is quite overhyped and maybe aren't considering what the next steps are for their banking organisation? What direction of travel do you give them, or where do you think?
There's something, I don't actually have it prepared here, but we'll have it when we come to edit. I call it strips and stripes. And what I did was put into generative AI all of the normal functions and tasks that need to be done in insurance, an insurance company that we're working with at the minute, and all of the tasks and all of the functions along the top. And then I asked it to highlight which ones are going to be fully replaced by generative AI, assisted by generative AI, and not touched. And the compliance ones are the ones that need full human interaction still, that anything that needs to get signed off from a compliance perspective. But out of something like 30 functions, 26 or 27 of them were either fully replaced or mostly replaced by generative AI. To say that this is not going to displace roles means that the bank is not being ambitious enough. And the problem that you're going to face with that is the moment banks and competitors do, you're left too late trying to change. It was something that will either be done to you or something you choose to do. And it's not that big a risk. It's difficult. There's no doubt it's difficult. It's political, but it's essential. It's not optional, is my belief. Any final words from you?
I think what you're saying is completely right. I think as we've found out, just in terms of just a final wrap up, AI adoption is very much a political process. I think that those companies who start to lead with it and start to realise the value of it are going to outperform those who do not. And I think what you're saying there about the strips and stripes methodology and what you've come up with, I think we should put that on screen for people to see and reference. I think that's a good indication of exactly how powerful AI is and will be. And I think that will do us for the day. I think that answers our question that AI is in fact.
Is it overhyped? I think it's well hyped, but I think it's misunderstood.
It's misunderstood. I think that's a fair point.
I think that's maybe what Schmidt was driving at.
Perfect. Well, thanks for your time,
Lochlainn, I look forward to seeing you in the office and no one interrupted you. Well done. Whatever magic sauce you're using for that, I'm going to take some too. Talk to you again soon, my friend.
All the best.